It's really about giving a voice to heart-centered leaders so they can share their story, how this has all grown, where it's come from to where it's at now. This has a direct impact. What we're going to bring out to the forefront has a direct impact on revenue, profits, client retention, and your employee retention.
The CEO of that company said, "We're a selling from the heart company." And they said, no, you don't understand. Yes, our sales team sells from the heart, but we're a selling from the heart company. And to me, that moment that you said that, it sparked something inside me.
We're going to take this to the next level and really help to bring heart-centered, not only heart-centered culture, but heart-centered selling to the forefront. It's time that this all happens. We're going to continue to lead the movement on this.
Began to realize that what we've been aiming at is that this concept of from the heart, creating a culture from the heart, goes beyond any department in your company. It goes into the heart of the company itself, which is the culture of that organization. And when we create a culture from the heart, just as you said, Larry, this impacts everything. It's a total game changer in the organization.
And I've said this, I will say it over and I will say it over again, is this: leaders who lead from the heart and develop a culture from the heart will soon develop sellers who sell from the heart. In the world we live in today, everyone's looking for that company that's transparent, that's heart-centered, that cares, that brings compassion to the forefront. When all of this happens, amazing things happen. And I've said this time and time again, people will run through a brick wall, literally a brick wall, for companies and leaders who lead from the heart, who actually care.
Welcome to the Culture from the Heart podcast on the From the Heart Business Network. In a business world where employees and customers crave authenticity and trust, hosts Larry Levine and Darrell Amy are on a mission to find and showcase heart-centered executives and the companies they lead. You are about to hear an inspiring conversation with a visionary leader that's bringing heart into the workplace, empowering employees, serving their clients, and uplifting communities, all to create true success. This is Culture from the Heart. The movement starts here. Let's begin.
Welcome to the Culture from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. And Larry, I am so excited about this new show.
Yeah, you're excited. I'm excited. This was long time in the making. But, it's great when, it's so funny, Darrell, when you and I get into conversation, we don't know where this conversation goes. And this is something we've been dreaming up for quite some time.
Absolutely. And we are on a mission to find and feature the heart-centered companies of America, the companies with leaders that believe in building a culture of authenticity, a culture of trust. And this journey is going to be so much fun because we are going to hear from some incredible leaders, some from companies you recognize, many from companies you may have never heard of, but they're all going to have one thing in common, in that they believe that culture is critical and they're intentionally crafting cultures from the heart.
And oftentimes we've quoted the great Peter Drucker where he goes on to say, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And this is going to become really apparent on the Culture from the Heart podcast.
You're going to be inspired as you hear from leaders who are across all different industries, but they're working to build a culture that is authentic, a culture of trust, a culture that values people, whether those people are their employees, their customers, their suppliers. Really, what we're thinking about is this is how business should be done. And the good news is it is being done in the right way. And we really want to tell the stories of these companies and their leaders.
It's really about giving a voice to heart-centered leaders so they can share their story, how this has all grown, where it's come from to where it's at now. But it's getting to the heart of what really matters. And that's giving CEOs a voice of what makes their company so great.
So we're going to ask every CEO that comes on the podcast question, we're going to ask, what does a culture from the heart mean to you? And as we've been podcasting together over the last 8 years, Larry, in the Selling from the Heart podcast, in discovering the answer to the question, what does selling from the heart mean to you? We've heard literally hundreds of very interesting answers on that have been super inspirational and also very instructional to us and our audience. In a very same way, we look forward to hearing the answer to what does it culture from the heart mean to you? What does it mean to have a culture that's heart-centered in your organization? And Larry, I know the answers to this question based on the people that we've got lined up to come on this show and people that we know and many people that we'll meet over the years to come, the answers are going to be very, very insightful. And this is something I think right now as we live in a culture where people are hungry for authenticity, whether that's employees coming on board with a company, whether that's customers looking at who they're going to work with, and even suppliers. The culture of the company has a massive bearing on the success of that organization.
Well, absolutely. This has a direct impact. What we're going to bring out to the forefront has a direct impact on revenue, profits, client retention, and your employee retention.
These are all massive game changers. And so you may say, how did this all come about? Well, I mentioned that Larry and I have had a lot of fun over the last 8 years leading and co-hosting the Selling from the Heart podcast, where we were on a mission to discover what it means to sell from the heart, what it could look like if sales professionals brought their authentic selves to the table in a way that built trust. And this journey of selling from the heart, well, first of all, it's been a lot of fun. We've had a great time. We've met some amazing people in the industry of sales. We've met amazing thought leaders in the leadership space. And Larry, the journey so far has been incredible.
It has. And now what we're really going to do, we're going to take this to the next level. We're going to take this to the next level and really help to bring heart-centered, not only heart-centered culture, but heart-centered selling to the forefront. It's time that this all happens, and we're going to continue to lead the movement on this.
I'll never forget, Larry, that one evening you were working with a client. I was working with a different client. I was actually in Denver. And I remember you called me. I was walking from the restaurant back to my hotel. And you called me and were telling me about your day. And you said, you were serving one of our Selling from the Heart clients. And the person said, the CEO of that company said, we're a Selling from the Heart company. And they said, no, you don't understand. Yes, our sales team sells from the heart, but we're a Selling from the Heart company. And to me, that moment that you said that, it sparked something inside me. And I began to realize that what we've been aiming at here over the last 8 years, and that's now coming to fruition in this podcast, is that this concept of from the heart, creating a culture from the heart, goes beyond any department in your company. It goes into the heart of the company itself, which is the culture of that organization. And when we create a culture from the heart, just as you said, Larry, this impacts everything. It's a total game changer in the organization. And that's why I'm so fired up to have these conversations.
Same here. And it's all about people. And I've said this, I will say it over and I will say it over again, is this: leaders who lead from the heart and develop a culture from the heart will soon develop sellers who sell from the heart. Think about that one for a second.
And that's a massive game changer with the people that go face to face with your prospects and your clients. And so that's why we're passionate about culture from the heart. This is an absolute game changer. And one thing we began to notice over the last 8 years of working with sales professionals and talking to sales thought leaders across all industries around the world is there were kind of two groups. There was a group of sales professionals that worked for companies that were so excited to go out and talk about those companies because they knew that not only did that company have a great product, but they backed it up with like a genuine heart to serve their customers. And they had leadership that believed in developing people and putting people first. They truly had a culture from the heart. And then you had another group of people that were passionate about their profession in sales. They were passionate about serving their clients. And the problem was there was a bit of a disconnect. There was a disconnect we saw in terms of their company's commitment to delivering excellent customer service, their leadership's commitment to not really caring that much about the people on board. In fact, quite the opposite. And there was in some cases, very toxic cultures. And we began to notice our friends, some of them were working in extremely healthy cultures. And by the way, it motivated them as sales professionals. And some were working in very unhealthy cultures, even toxic cultures. And that got us thinking, hey, let's go find the healthy cultures. Let's go find the cultures from the heart. Let's find their leaders and let's tell their stories. And that's exactly what we're going to do on this show.
And that's what we're excited about. And I just have to bring this to the surface on this one. In this, the first word that comes up is fake. Mm-hmm. You can't fake nice. You can't fake authenticity. You can't fake these cultures, because when you try to do this, you're going to get exposed. Now, What we're going to do is we're going to flip this on its head, and we're going to expose those heart-centered leaders, those heart-centered companies that are out there. For one simple reason is this is how you're going to grow your companies. This is how you're going to grow your people. But this is how you're going to align to the hearts of your clients and your future clients. Mark my word and Mark Darrell's word on this. There's people out there that are looking and are craving heart-centered leaders, heart-centered companies. They're just waiting. They're waiting at their business store going, where have you been? Watch what starts to happen when we bring this to the forefront.
Absolutely. And this is where we want to find the companies that are actually doing this, that have CEOs that are leading from the heart. It's a total game changer. If you think about the world that we live in right now, there are many people in the data on employee engagement, on depression, on just a lot of horrible things. There's a lot of bad news out there about that. And there's a lot of bad news about companies that treat their employees as a disposable asset. We want to tell the good news. In a world full of bad news, here at Culture from the Heart, we want to share the good news. We want to share the stories of companies and their leaders that are actually making a difference in the world, that care about their people, that care about their clients, that bring passion and heart to what they do. And the leaders of these companies, you're going to, as you listen to this podcast, you're going to meet some of the most inspirational people in the world.
Yeah. And what we're going to bring to the forefront is these leaders, they're not leaving heart at the doorstep of their home. They're bringing it right from their home and how they carry themselves. They're bringing it right into the business world. We're going to give these people a voice, because we believe here at Culture from the Heart, that's where it starts. It starts with that individual and how that individual, which is that CEO, carries themselves, not only at work, but in their personal life as well.
And I think everybody is going to love this podcast. If you're a leader, you're going to get encouraged. You're going to get ideas. We're going to have open and honest conversations with leaders of Culture from the Heart, leaders that value heart, that value culture. We're going to have open and honest conversations. We're not going to sugarcoat this. We're going to talk about the highs. We're going to talk about the challenges of developing and maintaining that culture. And so for the leaders listening in, this is going to be a super practical experience for you. And we want to deliver value every single week to the leaders that listen. And Larry, there's also going to be people listening in that are hungry to be a part of a company like this. And in a world of toxic business cultures out there, I'm so thrilled that we're going to be able to tell the stories of these amazing companies to our audience of people who crave to get up in the morning and put their time and their effort and their heart behind organizations like this.
Everyone's looking for it. In the world we live in today, everyone's looking for that company that's transparent, that's heart-centered, that cares, that brings compassion to the forefront. When all of this happens, amazing things happen. And I've said this time and time again. People will run through a brick wall, literally a brick wall, for companies and leaders who lead from the heart, who actually care and show that they care and are aligned and congruent with how they care.
So here's the deal. Developing a culture from the heart, well, there's not really a textbook on this. This is something that we need to hear from the people on the ground who are figuring this out real time, who've gone in the trenches and worked through the issues. Obviously, nobody's perfect, but we do know that there are leaders out there who are getting this right. And the more we can feature that and the more we can inspire other leaders to develop cultures from the heart, look, it makes the world a better place. And we all spend 40, 50, however many hours a week at work. And we spend a lot of time when we're at home thinking about work. There's a massive difference between organizations that are taking advantage of people and toxic, unhealthy, and organizations that are led from the heart, that value authenticity, they value trust, they value accountability and results as well. And these are the organizations that we believe have the opportunity to literally change the world. And that's why we're so excited to have these conversations. And we're so excited for you as a listener to join us on this journey of discovering what it means to have a culture from the heart and how to get it done.
Yeah, what's going to be really cool about this is going to be delivered right through a practitioner's point of view. This isn't textbook. This isn't college level, thesis level, doctoral level stuff. This is going to be delivered right through people who are in the trenches living this every single day. We're bringing it right to you guys.
So every episode, we'll ask our guests, what does culture from the heart mean to you? We'll talk about their company and their story and their journeys along the way, the good and the bad, the challenges and the triumphs in that. And then we'll end every episode by looking at what are some practical things based on what this CEO has experienced that they can share with us to help develop a culture from the heart. And along the way, we're all going to get a masterclass in how to build a from the heart culture. And I'm so excited about that. This is going to be a lot of fun, Larry.
You're excited? I'm excited. This is going to be something that's really cool. Mark our words on this. I don't see a lot of this out there. We're giving a voice to people who desperately want to share their story. We're just giving them the platform and we're facilitating a great conversation with everyone who comes on this podcast.
So we have a couple asks. The first one's really simple. You made it here. You're listening to this. Would you if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening through your podcast app, hit the follow or whatever button it is you need to hit to make sure you don't miss an episode of this. You're absolutely going to love these conversations. The second thing we'd like to ask is if you know a CEO who you go, you know what? They would be an awesome fit for this show. They have built a culture from the heart. They're passionate about their people. They've created an incredible organizational culture. We would love to talk with them. And you can nominate your CEO. The link's in the show notes. And it's very simple. It's culturefromtheheart.com, culturefromtheheart.com. You can nominate your CEO. And we would love to get to know them and feature the story of how they're bringing heart to the center of their corporate culture.
And everyone has a story. Everyone has a backstory. These are going to be true life stories of CEOs that are just getting it done out in the business world, putting people above everything else.
So that's our ask. Would you hit like or subscribe? And if you know a CEO that would be a great fit for this show, we'd love for you to introduce us to them at culturefromtheheart.com. Most of all, though, we want to invite you on this journey. We all spend many hours a week and many years of our life working. Wouldn't it be great if culture from the heart was a part of more and more organizations that we're a part of? And what an amazing world it will be as we begin to spread the message and ignite and inspire and educate everybody on what it takes to build a culture from the heart. That's our mission here, and it's going to be an amazing journey.
One heck of a journey. I'm glad you're going to join us on this. Stay tuned. There's so much more to follow.
So hit like or subscribe now, and we'll see you in the next episode of Culture from the Heart.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to discover heart-centered leaders shaping extraordinary company cultures. To access a leader guide with notes from this week's episode, simply click the link in the show notes or visit us at www.culturefromtheheart.com. Do you know a CEO who's built a culture from the heart? We'd love to hear their story. Head over to www.culturefromtheheart.com and click the Nominate Your CEO button. Until next time, remember, great cultures start with the heart.